When billionaire David Whitmore walked into his pregnant wife's funeral with his young mistress by his side, he thought he'd gotten away with everything. But Amanda Whitmore had spent her final months preparing one last move. A will so precisely constructed it would expose every lie, strip away every protection, and force the truth into the light. What unfolds in that lawyer's office isn't just the reading of a will, it's a reckoning. Welcome back, everyone. Before we begin, I want to send strength to anyone who's ever been betrayed, underestimated, or left to pick up the pieces alone. May you find the courage to protect what matters and the wisdom to see the truth before it's too late. If this story speaks to you, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. I love connecting with you all. Now, let's dive into Amanda's final act of justice. The lawyer's hand stayed flat on the envelope. Before we begin, Patricia Holbrook said, I need to confirm attendance. Rain hammered the windows of the conference room. 30 floors below, Manhattan blurred into gray. The mahogany table reflected overhead lights in perfect lines. 6 chairs. 4 occupied. David Whitmore sat at the head, fingers drumming the armrest. 48. Black suit that cost more than most people earned in 3 months. Wedding ring still on. He'd worn it to the service that morning. Worn it while his hand rested on the small of another woman's back. That woman sat beside him now. Scarlett. 26. Red dress. Not black. Red. She'd crossed her legs twice since sitting down, the silk catching light each time. Her perfume reached across the table. Something with vanilla. Something young. I'm here as an interested party, David said. Scarlett's here with me. Patricia didn't look up from her notes. Mrs. Whitmore's will specifies who may be present during the reading. My wife is dead. David's voice carried the particular emptiness of someone who'd said those words many times in the past 48 hours. I'm the executor. I decide. You're named in the will, Mr. Whitmore. You're not the executor. The drumming stopped. Across the table, Claire Whitmore pressed her spine against the chair back. 61. David's mother. Black dress, black gloves, black hat with a veil she'd lifted but not removed. She'd arrived 20 minutes early, so hadn't spoken to her son, hadn't looked at Scarlett even once. The 4th chair held Robert Chen, Patricia's junior partner. 34. He'd set up the recording equipment without a word. Red light steady in the corner. I don't understand, David said. Patricia opened the envelope. The sound of tearing paper filled the silence that followed. Your wife appointed me as executor 3 months ago, Patricia said. She was very specific about the terms. Scarlett uncrossed her legs, recrossed them. The movement pulled David's attention for half a second before he locked back on Patricia. 3 months ago, Amanda was 7 months pregnant. She was preparing the nursery. We were choosing names. David's hands opened on the table, palms up, the gesture of a reasonable man. She wasn't thinking clearly. The pregnancy. Hormones. Your wife was 29 years old, Mr. Whitmore. She held an MBA from Columbia and served as CFO of Whitmore Industries until her leave of absence. The psychological evaluation I required shows no impairment. You required, David leaned forward. On whose authority? Hers. She knew the will would be contested. Claire made a sound, not quite a laugh, not quite a sob. Her gloved hands stayed folded in her lap. Scarlett touched David's sleeve. Baby, maybe we should... Ms. Reeves, Patricia's eyes lifted for the first time. I need to ask you to leave. The rain intensified. Someone's phone buzzed. David's. He ignored it. She's staying, David said. The will specifies that only family members and named beneficiaries may be present. Ms. Reeves is neither. I want her here. What you want, Mr. Whitmore. I stopped being relevant the moment your wife signed this document. Patricia slid a packet across the table. 20 pages, bound. The top sheet showed Amanda Whitmore's signature. Witnessed, notarized, dated September 15th, 4 months ago. David picked it up. His thumb moved across Amanda's name like he was testing if the ink was real. This is a mistake, he said. Read Section 7, Patricia said. He didn't flip to Section 7. He stared at the signature. Scarlett stood. The chair scraped. I don't need to stay for this. David, I'll wait in the car. Sit down, David said. Mr. Whitmore, I'm going to ask one more time. She stays. Patricia closed her folder, opened it again, removed a second document. Very well, she said. Since Ms. Reeves refuses to leave voluntarily, I'll need to read the relevant section aloud. Your wife anticipated this scenario. Claire's breathing changed, faster, shallower. Robert shifted the camera angle slightly. The lens caught all 4 faces now. Patricia adjusted her glasses. Found her place on the page. Her voice dropped into the particular cadence lawyers used when exact words mattered. In the event that David Whitmore brings Scarlett Reeves, or any other woman with whom he has conducted an extramarital relationship, to the reading of this will, the following clause activates immediately. Scarlett's hand froze on her purse. I direct my executor to present, as part of the official record, documentation proving the existence and timeline of said relationship. This documentation includes, but is not limited to, hotel receipts, text message records, credit card statements, and photographic evidence. David stood. The chair hit the credenza behind him. You can't. Furthermore, Patricia continued, I revoke any and all bequests to David Whitmore outlined in previous sections, transferring his full inheritance to the Whitmore Foundation for Women's Health, with the exception of his legal entitlement under New York law. This isn't legal. It's entirely legal. Your wife was explicit. She even predicted your response. Patricia turned a page. My husband will claim I wasn't of sound mind. He'll say the pregnancy made me irrational. He'll use the words hormones and emotional. He's used them before. Claire stood now too. Her veil slipped. She didn't fix it. Keep reading, she said. Patricia glanced at her notes. Mrs. Whitmore, I should warn you. Read it. The rain slowed. In the new quiet, but the sound of Robert's pen on paper seemed too loud. To my mother-in-law, Claire Whitmore, Patricia read, I leave the shares of Whitmore Industries currently held in my name. 42% of the company. I trust you'll vote them as you see fit. David's face changed. Something behind his eyes recalculated. 42%. Amanda's inheritance from her own father transferred to her when they married. The shares that gave David's family control of the company they'd built over 3 generations. The shares that kept the board from forcing him out last year when the Atlantic City deal went south. She wouldn't, David said. Claire pulled off her gloves, folded them, set them on the table with the care of someone placing a weapon within reach. Your wife, she said to her son, I was smarter than both of us. Scarlett grabbed her purse. I don't have to listen to this. Ms. Reeves, Patricia didn't look up. If you leave now, you won't hear Section 12. Scarlett stopped at the door, her hand on the brass handle. Section 12 pertains to you directly, Patricia said. I'm not in her will. You're named. Please sit down. Scarlett looked at David. He'd sat back down, eyes locked on the number. 42%. His lips moved slightly. Doing math. Counting board votes. She sat. Patricia turned pages, found the right section, cleared her throat. To Scarlett Reeves, I leave the following. Full documentation of her employment history at Whitmore Industries, including her original application, her performance reviews, and the email chain regarding her promotion to executive assistant. Scarlett's face went white. I also leave her a single piece of advice. Read the employment contract she signed, specifically the morality clause in Section 15. What's in Section 15? Claire asked. Patricia pulled another document from her folder, slid it across the table to Scarlett. Employment contracts at Whitmore Industries include a clause prohibiting romantic relationships between employees and married executives. Violation results in immediate termination and forfeiture of all stock options and bonuses. Patricia paused. Ms. Reeves has been with the company for 18 months. Her stock options vest next month. Current value approximately $400,000. Scarlett picked up the contract. Her hands shook. She signed this? You signed it, Patricia said. Human Resources has the original. David reached for the document. Scarlett pulled it back. You said it was standard paperwork, Scarlett said. You said not to worry about the fine print. I didn't know. You're the CEO. Her voice climbed. You wrote these contracts. The legal department. You told me it didn't matter. You said after the divorce we'd fix everything. You said... She stopped, looked at Patricia, at Robert, at the camera with its steady red light. You're recording this? Yes, Patricia said. As specified in the will. This recording becomes part of the official record. It will be filed with the court and made available to relevant parties, including the Whitmore Industries Board of Directors. David found his voice again. Turn it off. No. I'm ordering you. You have no authority here, Mr. Whitmore. Not anymore. Patricia tapped the will. Your wife saw to that. Claire picked up the share transfer document. Read it slowly. Her mouth moved at one point. 42%. She set it down, smoothed the paper flat. When does this take effect? She asked. Immediately upon filing with the probate court. I'll submit the paperwork tomorrow morning. And the board vote on the merger? Scheduled for Friday, 3 days from now. David's phone buzzed again. He looked at it this time. His face changed again. He stood, sat, stood again. I need to make a call, he said. You can make it after we finish, Patricia said. No. Now. This is the board. They can't. He looked at his mother. You can't actually be considering this. Claire folded her hands over the document. Your wife died yesterday. You brought your mistress to her funeral this morning. You're asking what I'm considering? Amanda was sick. The pregnancy. Complications. It was tragic, but it wasn't. He stopped, started again. I loved my wife. You loved her money, Claire said. You loved her shares. You loved that her father's company merged with ours and made you untouchable. She stood, picked up her gloves. You loved everything about Amanda except Amanda. That's not, you brought Scarlett to the funeral. The words dropped like stones. David opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. She was upset, he said finally. She knew Amanda. They worked together. She wanted to pay respects. In a red dress, Claire said. She didn't know. The culture. She's from Connecticut, David. She went to Sarah Lawrence. She knows what color you wear to a funeral. Scarlett stood again. This time she made it to the door. Ms. Reeves, Patricia said. One more thing. Scarlett didn't turn around. Your apartment on West 73rd. The lease is in your name, but Whitmore Industries pays the rent. That's considered compensation. It's taxable. The IRS will want to know why you didn't report it. Scarlett's hand tightened on the door handle. I didn't know, she whispered. Your boyfriend knew. He signed the checks. Scarlett turned, looked at David. You said it was a gift. Technically, you said gifts weren't taxable. Gifts from individuals aren't, but this came from the corporate account. Patricia removed another paper. The company's legal team will likely argue you defrauded Whitmore Industries. They'll want restitution. How much? Patricia glanced at her notes. The apartment costs $12,000 a month. You've lived there for 14 months. Total value, $168,000. With penalties and interest, the IRS assessment will likely exceed $200,000. Scarlett sat down, not in her chair, on the floor, her back against the door. I don't have that, she said. No one answered. The rain had stopped. Through the window, the city looked scrubbed clean. Light broke through the clouds in angled shafts. Beautiful. Wrong. Robert checked the camera, still recording. David pulled out his phone again, started typing, stopped, put it away. This is revenge, he said. Amanda was angry. She found out about Scarlett, and instead of talking to me, instead of trying to save our marriage, she weaponized her death. Patricia removed her glasses, cleaned them, put them back on. Your wife didn't find out about Scarlett, Mr. Whitmore. She always knew. That's impossible. She hired a private investigator in June. She has photographs from the first night you took Ms. Reeves to dinner. June 11th, the restaurant on Spring Street. David went very still. The investigator's report is 40 pages long, Patricia continued. It includes dates, times, locations, and witnesses. Your wife read it while she was pregnant with your daughter. She read it while planning the nursery you mentioned. She read it while choosing names. If she knew, why didn't she leave me? She was going to. This will include divorce papers. She planned to file the day after the baby was born. Patricia's voice softened slightly. Not much. She wanted her daughter to have your name legally. She wanted the birth certificate to show a married couple. Then she was going to take everything. Claire's shoulders started shaking, not crying, laughing. The sound had no joy in it. Amanda was 7 months pregnant when she updated this will, Claire said. She knew. She knew, and she still... The laugh broke. She still invited you into the delivery room. She still showed you the ultrasounds. She still let you feel the baby kick. David sat down heavily. I didn't know she knew, he said. That's worse, Claire said. That's so much worse. Patricia gathered her papers, stacked them, aligned the edges with the precision of someone who'd done this many times before. There are additional provisions, she said, but they don't require Mr. Whitmore's presence. I'll need him to sign acknowledgement of receipt, then he's free to go. She slid a single page across the table. David didn't reach for it. What else? He asked. That's between me and your mother. She was my wife. She was her own person, and she trusted her mother-in-law more than she trusted you. Patricia tapped the signature line. Please sign. David picked up the pen, set it down, picked it up again. The company, he said, without those shares. You'll need to convince the board you're worth keeping, Patricia said. I imagine that conversation will be difficult, given the circumstances. What circumstances? Your wife died in childbirth yesterday morning. You brought your mistress to the funeral this afternoon. The board meets in 3 days to vote on a merger that will determine the company's future for the next decade. Patricia's voice stayed level. I imagine the optics aren't ideal. David signed. The pen moved fast, angry. His signature barely resembled his name. He stood, looked at Scarlett, still on the floor by the door. Come on, he said. She didn't move. Scarlett, I need to talk to Miss Holbrook, Scarlett said. About the tax thing. We'll figure it out. You'll figure it out? She laughed. Same sound Claire had made. With what? You just lost 42% of the company. You just lost your inheritance. You just lost. She stopped. You told me Amanda didn't care. You said the marriage was over. You said she knew about us and she was fine with it. She was dying. I didn't want to upset her. So you lied to me. I protected you. From what? The truth? From knowing I was sleeping with a man whose wife was pregnant? Whose wife was dying? Scarlett pushed herself up, used the door handle for leverage. You told me she had a heart condition. You said the pregnancy was risky, but she insisted. You made it sound like she chose this. She did choose it. And you let her. You let her stay pregnant while you were fucking me in hotel rooms paid for by your company. You let her plan a nursery while you were... Scarlett's voice cracked. Did you love her at all? David's jaw worked. That's not fair. Did you love her? It's complicated. That's not an answer. I'm not doing this here. David grabbed his coat from the chair. We'll talk in the car. I'm not going with you. Don't be dramatic. I'm $200,000 in debt because of you. I'm about to lose $400,000 in stock options because of you. I just found out my boyfriend's dead wife knew about us the whole time and documented everything and left a paper trail that's going to destroy both our careers. Scarlett's hands clenched. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being realistic. And realistically, I need a lawyer. David looked at Patricia. You can't represent her. Conflict of interest. I'm not offering to represent her, Patricia said, but I can recommend someone. She wrote a name on her business card, slid it across the table to Scarlett. David moved toward the door, stopped, turned back to his mother. You're really going to do this? He asked. You're going to take her side over mine? Claire stood, picked up her purse, adjusted her veil. I'm taking my granddaughter's side, she said. David blinked. What? The baby. She lived for 6 hours. Claire's voice stayed steady. Amanda named her Sophie, after my mother. She made me the legal guardian in case anything happened. The room went silent. The baby's alive? David's voice came out hoarse. She's in the NICU at Mount Sinai. She's 2 pounds, 4 ounces. She has Amanda's eyes. Claire pulled on her gloves. The doctors say she has a good chance. 60%, maybe better. David grabbed the back of the chair. Why didn't anyone tell me? We told you yesterday, at the hospital. You were on your phone. You said you'd be back in an hour. Claire walked toward the door. You didn't come back. You went to Scarlett's apartment. The investigator Amanda hired is still on retainer. He documents everything. I have a daughter. You have a daughter who might live or might die. Who needs surgery tomorrow? Who needs her father? Claire stopped at the door. Scarlett moved aside. Where were you last night, David? He didn't answer. The baby was coding at midnight. The doctors needed consent for an emergency procedure. We called you 16 times. Claire's composure cracked. Just a hairline. Where were you? I turned my phone off. I needed to process. You were with her. Claire looked at Scarlett. While your daughter was dying, you were with your mistress. Scarlett backed against the wall. I didn't know, she whispered. He told me the baby died with Amanda. He said, he lied, Claire said. He's been lying since June. Why would last night be different? David moved toward his mother. I'm going to the hospital. Now. I'll stay with Sophie. No. The word hung in the air. She's my daughter, David said. And I'm her legal guardian. Amanda's will is very clear. In the event of her death, Sophie goes to me, not you. Claire opened the door. You can petition the court. But given the circumstances, the affair, the abandonment, the fact that you left your dying infant alone while you were with your girlfriend, I don't think a judge will rule in your favor. You can't keep me from my own child. I'm not keeping you from anything. I'm protecting her from you. Claire stepped into the hallway. When you're ready to be a father instead of a man who got someone pregnant, call my lawyer. We'll arrange supervised visits." She walked away, so her heels clicked on marble. The sound faded. David stood in the doorway, not moving, not speaking. Patricia began packing her briefcase, papers, folders, the recording equipment. Robert helped. They worked in silence. Scarlett slid down the wall, sat on the floor again, still holding the business card. "I should go," she said to no one in particular. No one answered. She stood, straightened her dress. The red looked darker in the fading light, almost brown. "David," she said. He didn't turn around. "David, I'm sorry. I didn't know about the baby. I didn't know." "Get out." His voice came out flat, empty. Scarlett flinched. "I just want to." "You're fired, effective immediately. Security will pack your desk. You're not allowed back in the building." He turned. His eyes looked past her, through her. "My lawyers will contact you about the apartment, and the stock options, and the tax fraud." "It wasn't fraud. You said," "I say a lot of things. Apparently you believed them." He smiled. No warmth. "That's not my problem anymore." He walked out. Scarlett stood alone in the conference room. Patricia and Robert had finished packing. They moved toward the door. "Wait," Scarlett said. Patricia paused. "The lawyer you recommended, will they take payments?" Patricia looked at the young woman in the red dress, saw the running mascara, the shaking hands, the complete collapse of whatever future she'd imagined. "Call tomorrow," Patricia said. "We'll figure something out." She left. Robert turned off the lights. Scarlett stood in the dark conference room 30 floors above Manhattan. Rain started again. Softer this time. The city below sparkled with evening lights. People going home, people going to dinner, people whose lives hadn't detonated in the space of an hour. She looked at the business card in her hand. Read the name. Put it in her purse. Walked out. The hospital smelled like disinfectant and recycled air. Claire signed in at the NICU desk, 3rd time today. The nurse knew her name now. "She's stable," the nurse said, "sleeping. The surgery is scheduled for 6 a.m. "Can I see her?" "Of course." Claire scrubbed her hands, put on the gown, went through the double doors into the room where the smallest humans fought the biggest battles. Sophie Whitmore lay in an incubator in the back corner. Wires and tubes connected her to machines that breathed for her, fed her, kept her alive. She weighed less than a bag of flour. Her skin looked translucent. You could see her heart beating through her chest. Claire pulled a chair close, sat, pressed her hand against the warm plastic. "Your mother was brilliant," she whispered. "She knew exactly what your father would do. She knew he'd bring that woman to her funeral. She knew he'd lie about you. She knew he'd choose himself every single time." The machines beeped. Regular, steady. "She left you everything," Claire said. "Not the money. The money's mine, and I'm going to use it to destroy your father's company and rebuild it into something worth having. But she left you something better." Claire's voice dropped. "She left you the truth. She documented everything so you'd know someday that she loved you, that she died protecting you, that every choice she made in those last months was about giving you a chance." Sophie's tiny hand twitched. "I know you have to live," Claire said. "You have to survive this surgery tomorrow and every day after that. You have to grow up and read your mother's will and understand what she did for you." Tears came now. Claire let them. "You have to become the kind of woman who doesn't let men like your father win." She sat there until visiting hours ended, until the nurse touched her shoulder gently and said she had to leave. Claire stood, touched the incubator one more time. "Fight," she whispered. She left. David sat in his penthouse apartment. 48th floor, wall-to-wall windows, view of Central Park. The apartment he'd bought with Amanda's money. furnished with Amanda's trust fund, filled with Amanda's art collection. He'd removed all her photos after the funeral, put them in boxes. The apartment looked sterile now, like a hotel, like a place no one actually lived. His phone buzzed. Board member, calling for the 6th time tonight. He let it go to voicemail, poured another scotch, sat on the couch that cost $30,000, looked at his reflection in the dark window. His phone buzzed again. Different number. He answered without thinking. Mr. Whitmore, this is Janet Reeves, Scarlett's mother. David closed his eyes. Mistress Reeves. My daughter just called me. She's hysterical. She said you fired her. She said she owes $200,000 in taxes. She said, the woman's voice shook. What did you do to my daughter? I didn't do anything. Your daughter made her own choices. She's 26 years old. You're 48. You're her boss. You were married. The words came faster. She looked up to you. She trusted you. She thought. She thought what? That I'd leave my wife for her? That we'd ride off into the sunset? David laughed. Bitter. Your daughter was a distraction, Mrs. Reeves, a pleasant distraction from a marriage that died years ago. She knew that. She was fine with it. You told her you loved her. I tell lots of people lots of things. Silence on the line. Then, you're a monster. I'm a man who made mistakes. There's a difference. My daughter's life is ruined because of you. Your daughter's life is ruined because she slept with a married man and didn't read her employment contract. I'm not responsible for her poor decisions. David stood, walked to the window. Tell her to get a good lawyer. Tell her to pay her taxes. Tell her to grow up. He hung up, threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall, didn't break. New model, reinforced glass. Everything in his life was reinforced, protected, insured against damage. Everything except Amanda. He poured another scotch, drank it standing at the window, watching the park go dark below. His daughter was alive. 2 pounds, 4 ounces. Amanda's eyes. He hadn't seen her yet, hadn't even asked which hospital. When his mother said the baby lived, he'd thought, what had he thought? That it didn't change anything, that the baby would be fine without him, that someone else would handle it. Someone else always handled it. His phone buzzed from the floor. Cracked screen, still working. Text message from his lawyer. Board called emergency meeting. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. They're voting to remove you as CEO. Your mother has the shares to make it happen. Call me. David read the message 3 times, deleted it, poured another scotch. The bottle was half empty. When had that happened? He sat down on the couch. The room spun slightly. He closed his eyes. Amanda's face appeared behind his eyelids. Not how she looked at the end, swollen, exhausted, in pain. How she looked when they met. 23. Sharp, brilliant. She'd pitched her father's company merger to his board and demolished every objection in 45 minutes. David had taken her to dinner that night. Married her 6 months later. Best decision he ever made. Until it wasn't. Until the company stabilized and her shares were locked in and she started asking questions about where he went at night, who he met for drinks, why he needed a separate phone for work. Until she got pregnant and stopped being useful and started being needy. Until Scarlett started working for him and smiled when he made jokes and didn't ask questions about anything. He opened his eyes. The apartment was dark. He hadn't turned on the lights. His phone buzzed again. Different board member. He let it ring. Tomorrow they'd remove him. His mother would vote her shares against him. The board would install someone else as CEO, someone competent, someone without scandals, someone who didn't bring his mistress to his wife's funeral. David stood, walked to the bedroom. Amanda's side of the closet still held her clothes. He'd meant to donate them, meant to clear them out. Never got around to it. He opened the door. Her scent hit him, some perfume she wore, something expensive, something he'd bought her for their anniversary last year. Or was it 2 years ago? He couldn't remember. He pulled out a dress. The blue silk. She'd worn it to a charity gala. She'd looked beautiful. People had stopped her all night, telling her so. He'd been proud. When had he stopped being proud? When had he started resenting her for being the one people admired? He put the dress back, closed the closet, went to bed. The emergency board meeting started at 9 a.m. Sharp. David arrived at 8:45, showered, shaved, expensive suit, new tie. He looked like a man in control. The conference room on the executive floor held 12 board members. All present. All early. Claire sat at the far end of the table. She'd changed since yesterday. Gray suit, minimal makeup, hair pulled back. She looked like every board meeting he'd ever attended with her. Composed, prepared, dangerous. "David," she said. No warmth, just acknowledgement. "Aye, Mother." He sat at the head of the table, his usual seat, the chair Amanda had insisted he have when they merged the companies, the chair that showed everyone who was in charge, the chair that was about to be taken away. "Let's begin," said Martin Cross. 70. Retired judge. Board chairman. He'd known David since David was 16. "We're here to discuss a vote of no confidence in David Whitmore's leadership as CEO of Whitmore Industries." David leaned back, projected calm. "On what grounds?" "On the grounds that your personal conduct has become a liability to this company. On the grounds that your judgment is questionable. On the grounds that shareholders deserve better leadership." Martin adjusted his glasses. Do you have a response?" "My personal life is irrelevant to my performance as CEO." "Your personal life became relevant when you brought your mistress to your wife's funeral," said Rebecca Chu. 45. Harvard Law. She joined the board last year at Amanda's suggestion. "The press has already picked up the story. Our stock dropped 2 points this morning." "The market fluctuates, it'll recover." "Not if the story gets worse." "And it will get worse." Rebecca opened a folder. "Your wife left a will that's about to become public record. That will include explicit documentation of your affair. It includes evidence of corporate funds being used for personal purposes. It includes testimony that will damage this company's reputation for years." David's composure slipped. Just slightly. "That will is private." "Wills filed with probate court are public record, Mr. Whitmore. Anyone can access them." Rebecca slid the folder across the table. "Including journalists, including shareholders, including our competitors." David didn't open the folder. "My mother put you up to this," he said. "Your mother owns 42% of this company as of yesterday," Martin said. "She doesn't need to put anyone up to anything. She can outvote you on her own." David looked at Claire. "You're going to destroy what we built." "No," Claire said. "I'm going to protect it from you. This company was my father's legacy. And you're pissing on that legacy every time you make another selfish, short-sighted, catastrophically stupid decision." Claire's voice stayed level. "Your father built this company on integrity. You've traded that for hotel rooms and embezzled corporate funds and a mistress young enough to be your daughter." "I never embezzled. You used company money to pay Scarlett Reeves's rent. That's embezzlement." Claire opened her own folder. "You used the corporate card for hotel rooms, dinners, gifts, and jewelry. That's embezzlement. You approved her promotion to executive assistant despite her having 0 qualifications. That's fraud. Those are interpretations. Those are crimes, David. Federal crimes. The only reason you're not under investigation is because I haven't called the FBI yet." Claire closed the folder. "But I will. Unless you resign. Today." The room went silent. David's hands clenched under the table. "You'd send your own son to prison?" "I'd send anyone who hurt my granddaughter to prison." Claire's voice finally showed emotion. Just a crack. Sophie is alive because of luck and doctors and Amanda's will to keep her safe even while dying. She's alive despite you. Despite your negligence. Despite the fact that you couldn't be bothered to stay at the hospital while your daughter coded. I didn't know. You didn't ask. That's worse. Claire stood. I'm calling for a vote. All in favor of removing David Whitmore as CEO. 11 hands went up. David didn't move. Martin waited. Counted. Nodded. The vote is 11-1. David Whitmore is removed as CEO effective immediately. He paused. You have until 5 p.m. today to clear your office. Security will escort you out. David stood slowly, looked around the table, saw no sympathy, no hesitation. You'll regret this, he said. The only thing I regret, Claire said, is not doing it sooner. David walked out. The door close, continue 4:13 p.m. behind him felt like a cell locking. By noon, the story had leaked. Billionaire CEO fired after bringing mistress to pregnant wife's funeral. The headlines varied, but the facts stayed the same. David Whitmore, 48. Affair with a subordinate. Wife died in childbirth. Infant daughter in NICU. Removed from his own company by his mother. The press loved it. By 2 p.m., David's lawyer called with worse news. The IRS is opening an investigation. Someone sent them documentation about the apartment, the corporate card usage. All of it. The lawyer's voice sounded strained. David, this is bad. This is federal prosecutor bad. Who sent it? I don't know. But it was thorough. Someone spent months building a case. Amanda. The realization hit like cold water. She'd documented everything. Not for revenge, for protection. She'd built a legal fortress around Sophie, around the company, around everyone except him. She'd left him exposed. What do I do? David asked. Pray. Hire a criminal defense attorney. Don't talk to anyone without a lawyer present. A pause. And David? The optics matter. You need to look remorseful. You need to look like a father who made mistakes but loves his daughter. I do love my daughter. Then prove it. Go to the hospital. Sit with her. Let the press see you being a father instead of a scandal. David hung up. Called the hospital. Asked for the NICU. The nurse who answered sounded tired. Sophie Whitmore is in surgery. She'll be in recovery for several hours. Only her guardian is allowed to visit. I'm her father. I understand. But Mrs. Claire Whitmore has specified that you're not on the approved visitors list. You'll need to petition through legal channels. I just want to see my daughter. I'm sorry, Mr. Whitmore. I can't help you. She hung up. David sat in his empty apartment. Boxes everywhere. Security had packed his office in 3 hours, handed him the boxes in the lobby, taken his key card, walked him out. 24 hours ago, he'd been CEO of a billion-dollar company. Married, respected. Now he was unemployed, under investigation, banned from seeing his own daughter. All because of Amanda. Amanda, who'd died giving birth to a baby that might not survive. Amanda, who'd spent her last months preparing for this exact outcome. Amanda, who'd loved him enough to marry him and hated him enough to destroy him. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. This is Scarlett. Don't contact me. My lawyer says anything you say can be used against you in court. I'm cooperating with the IRS. I'm testifying against you. I'm telling them everything. Another text. Same number. You ruined my life. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man you are. David deleted the messages. Poured a scotch. His phone rang. His publicist. Don't answer any calls from the press, she said without preamble. Don't make statements. Don't defend yourself. Just stay silent until this blows over. When will it blow over? I don't know. This is big, David. Pregnant wife, mistress, Dead baby? The baby's not dead. What? My daughter. She's alive. She had surgery today. Silence on the line. Then, why didn't you lead with that? I didn't think. That's your problem. You don't think. The publicist sighed. Okay, here's what we do. We release a statement. You're devastated by your wife's death. You're focused on your daughter's recovery. You made mistakes, but you're committed to being a better father. I am committed. Then act like it. Go to the hospital. Sit in the waiting room. Let photographers see you looking worried and devoted. A pause. And David? Lose the mistress. Publicly. Fire her. Condemn the affair. Distance yourself. I already fired her. Good. Now condemn her. Say she took advantage of you during a difficult time. Say she manipulated you. That's not true. Neither is half the shit they're saying about you, but that's not stopping them from saying it. The publicist's voice hardened. You want to survive this? You throw her under the bus. Hard. David hung up, sat in silence, thought about Scarlett, 26, red dress, sitting on the floor of that conference room, realizing her life had imploded. He could save her. He could tell the truth. He could admit the affair was his idea, his pursuit, his fault. Or he could save himself. His phone buzzed again. Different lawyer. The criminal defense attorney his original lawyer had recommended. Mr. Whitmore, we need to meet. Tomorrow, early. Bring all documentation related to company expenses, corporate cards, apartment leases, everything. Why? Because the IRS doesn't open investigations unless they have a strong case. And someone gave them a very strong case. The lawyer paused. I've looked at the preliminary evidence. You're going to need to cooperate fully. That means testifying. That means admitting wrongdoing. That means pleading guilty to minimize jail time. Jail time? If convicted, you're looking at 2 to 5 years. But if you cooperate, if you help them build cases against others, what others? Your mistress, your accountant, anyone else who knew about the misuse of funds. The lawyer's tone shifted. Did Ms. Reeves know the apartment rent was coming from corporate accounts? David thought about Scarlett. I didn't know. You said it was a gift. Yes, he lied. She knew. Good. That helps. We can argue you were both complicit. Share the blame. Reduce your sentence. She'll go to jail? Probably. But that's not your problem. Your problem is keeping yourself out of jail. The lawyer shuffled papers. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. My office. Don't be late. He hung up. David sat with the phone in his hand, thought about throwing Scarlett under the bus, thought about how easy it would be, thought about Sophie in the NICU fighting to breathe, thought about Amanda documenting everything, building this trap, knowing he'd step into it. She'd known him better than he knew himself. She'd known he'd choose survival over truth. She'd known he'd sacrifice anyone to save himself. She'd been right. 3 days later, Sophie Whitmore left the NICU. She'd survived the surgery, gained 2 ounces, started breathing on her own. The doctors called it a miracle. Claire called it her granddaughter's stubbornness. She has Amanda's will, Claire told the nurses. She won't quit. They brought Sophie home to Claire's penthouse on 5th Avenue. A nurse came 6 hours a day. Monitors beeped through the night, but Sophie breathed. 8. Grew. Claire held her in the rocking chair Amanda had picked out, read to her from the books Amanda had bought, sang the lullabies Amanda had practiced. Your mother loved you so much, Claire whispered. She gave everything to protect you. Sophie's eyes, Amanda's eyes, opened briefly, unfocused, dark blue. You're going to be strong, Claire said. You're going to be smart. You're going to read your mother's will someday and understand exactly what she did for you. The baby fell asleep. Claire kept rocking. 6 months later, David Whitmore pleaded guilty to embezzlement and tax fraud. The prosecutor had offered a deal: 2 years in minimum security, full cooperation, and testimony against Scarlett Reeves. David took it. Scarlett got 3 years. Her lawyer argued she'd been manipulated. The jury didn't buy it. She'd signed the contracts. She'd benefited from the fraud. She'd known. At sentencing, she looked across the courtroom at David. "I loved you," she said. He didn't respond. The judge called for order. Scarlett was led away. David never saw her again. Claire rebuilt Whitmore Industries from the ground up. She installed new leadership, cleaned out the old guard, brought in Amanda's college friends, brilliant women who'd been waiting for a chance. The company thrived. Stock prices recovered. The merger went through. Within a year, Whitmore Industries had doubled in value. Claire put everything into a trust for Sophie. "When you're 25, she told the sleeping infant, "you'll inherit a company worth billions. Your mother built that. Your mother protected it. Your mother knew your father would destroy it if he could." She paused. 'Cause she was right about everything. 2 years later, David Whitmore was released from prison. He'd served his full sentence, behaved well, attended counseling, learned bookkeeping in the prison library. He walked out into New York sunshine with $200 and a bus ticket. His lawyer met him at the gate. "Your mother wants to see you," the lawyer said. "When?" "Today." She said, "Bring your daughter." "Sophie? You have other daughters?" David got in the car. They drove to Claire's penthouse. The doorman recognized him, didn't smile, let him in. Claire answered the door. She looked older, grayer, but strong. "David." "Mother." "Come in." The apartment had changed. Brighter, more toys, a playmat in the living room, board books on the coffee table. Sophie sat on the floor, stacking blocks. 2 years old, dark hair, Amanda's eyes. She looked up when David entered, looked away, went back to her blocks. "She doesn't know you," Claire said. "I know." "She calls me Mama." David nodded, couldn't speak. "You can visit," Claire said. "Supervised, once a week. If you stay sober, if you stay employed, if you prove you're serious about being a father." "I am serious." "Then prove it." Claire sat down next to Sophie, handed her another block. "Get a job, get an apartment, go to therapy, show me you've changed. And then maybe you can be part of her life." Claire looked up at him. "But David, if you hurt this child, if you disappoint her, if you choose yourself over her even once, I will erase you, completely. You'll never see her again." David looked at his daughter. She'd built a tower of blocks, 4 high, wobbling. She knocked it down, laughed. "I started building again?" "I understand," David said. "Good." Claire stood. "Visiting hours are Sundays, 2 to 4. Don't be late." She walked him to the door. He left. 5 years later, Sophie Whitmore started kindergarten. She was smart, stubborn, kind. She asked questions about everything. She wanted to know how things worked, why people made choices, what happened when you broke the rules. Claire answered honestly, always. "Where's my mommy?" Sophie asked one night. "Your mommy died when you were born." "Why?" "Because her body couldn't handle having a baby. Sometimes that happens." "Was she nice?" "She was brilliant, she was strong. She loved you more than anything." "What about my daddy?" Claire paused, chose her words carefully. "Your daddy made mistakes, big mistakes, but he's trying to be better." David still came every Sunday. He'd gotten a job at an accounting firm, rented a studio apartment, went to therapy twice a week. He brought books for Sophie, played blocks with her, listened when she talked about school. He never asked for more time, never pushed, never made it about him. Slowly, very slowly, Sophie warmed to him. By the time she turned 7, she called him Daddy. By the time she turned 10, she asked if he could come to her piano recital. He did. Sat in the back. Cried when she played. On Sophie's 18th birthday, Claire handed her an envelope. "Your mother left this for you," Claire said. Sophie opened it. Inside, a letter. Handwritten. Dated the day before Amanda died. "My darling Sophie, if you're reading this, it means I didn't survive your birth. I'm so sorry. I wanted to watch you grow up. I wanted to teach you how to be strong, how to be smart, how to protect yourself from people who will hurt you. But I can't be there, so I'm leaving you something else. The truth. Your father had an affair while I was pregnant with you. He lied to me. He lied to his mistress. He chose himself over both of us every single time. But I want you to know something. People can change. Not because they deserve forgiveness, not because they've earned it, but because children deserve parents who try. I've left you a company. I've left you money. I've left you security. But more than that, I've left you a choice. You can hate your father for what he did. You can cut him out of your life. You have every right. Or you can give him a chance to earn your love, to prove he's changed, to be the father I hoped he'd be. The choice is yours, Sophie. Always yours. I love you. I loved you before you were born. I loved you enough to die bringing you into this world. I loved you enough to protect you from everything I could. Be strong. Be smart. Be kind when you can. Be ruthless when you must. You come from a long line of women who didn't quit. Don't be the first. Love, Mom. Sophie read the letter 3 times, folded it carefully, put it back in the envelope, looked at Claire. Did she know she was going to die? She knew it was possible. The doctors warned her. She chose to have you anyway. Why? Because you were worth it. Claire touched Sophie's face. You were always worth it. Sophie sat with that for a long moment. Then she asked, "Can I see my dad?" Of course. Alone? Claire hesitated, then nodded. I'll be in the next room. David arrived 10 minutes later. Nervous, holding a wrapped present. Sophie let him in. They sat in the living room where she'd stacked blocks as a toddler. I read Mom's letter, Sophie said. David's face went pale. What did it say? That you had an affair? That you lied? That you chose yourself over her? David nodded slowly. That's all true. She also said people can change. I've tried. I'm still trying. Why should I believe you? David looked at his daughter, 18 years old. Amanda's eyes, Amanda's sharp intelligence, Amanda's refusal to accept easy answers. You shouldn't, he said. Believing me is a risk. I've proven I'm not trustworthy. I've proven I make selfish choices. He paused. But I'm asking you to take that risk anyway. Not because I deserve it, because you deserve a father who's trying. Sophie studied him. What happened to Scarlett? She got out of prison 4 years ago. She moved to California, works in real estate. We don't talk. Do you regret it? Every day. Which part? All of it. The affair, the lies, missing your first 2 years, hurting your mother, hurting Scarlett, hurting you. David's voice cracked. I ruined lives because I was selfish and weak. I can't take that back. I can only try to be better. Are you? Better? I'm trying. That's all I can promise. Sophie reached into her bag, pulled out a document. Grandma gave me the shares when I turned 18, 42% of Whitmore Industries. I control the company now. David nodded. I know. The board wants you back. His head snapped up. What? They think you've paid your debt. They think you've changed. They want to reinstate you as CEO. Sophie set the document on the table between them. I have the votes to make it happen, or to block it. David stared at the paper. What do you want? He asked. I want to know if you've actually changed, or if you'll go back to being the man Mom wrote about in her will. I can't prove the future. No, but you can prove the present. Sophie pulled out another document. This is a contract. If I reinstate you as CEO, you donate half your salary to a foundation I'm starting. For women who've been hurt by powerful men. You work under my oversight. You report to me. And if you ever abuse your power again, you lose everything. No second chances. David picked up the contract, read it slowly, signed it. I'll do better, he said. I promise. Sophie took the signed contract. We'll see, she said. 5 years later, Whitmore Industries was the most profitable company in its sector. David ran operations. Sophie ran strategy. Claire advised from semi-retirement. They'd built something Amanda would have been proud of. The foundation Sophie started had helped 300 women leave abusive situations. It had funded 50 new businesses. It had changed lives. David donated his salary every year, never missed a board meeting, never made a decision without consulting Sophie. He wasn't perfect, but he was better. Sophie graduated from Columbia, MBA, top of her class. She gave a speech at graduation. My mother died bringing me into this world, she said. She left me a company. She left me money. But more than that, she left me a choice. I could let my father's mistakes define my life, or I could use them to build something better. She paused. I chose to build. The audience applauded. David sat in the back row. Claire sat beside him. Amanda would be proud, Claire whispered. I know, David said. And for the first time in 23 years, he believed it. On the 25th anniversary of Amanda's death, Sophie stood at her mother's grave. The headstone was simple. Amanda Whitmore. Beloved daughter, wife, mother. She chose love over fear. Sophie placed flowers on the grave. White roses. Amanda's favorite. I run the company now, Sophie said to the stone. It's worth $3 billion. Dad works for me. He's good at his job. He's sober. He's kind. She paused. He's become the father you hoped he'd be. The wind picked up. Leaves scattered across the cemetery. I'm getting married next year. To a good man. Someone who reminds me of who you must have been. Strong. Smart. Refuses to quit. Sophie smiled. You'd like him. She knelt. Untouched the stone. Thank you for the letter. Thank you for the company. Thank you for protecting me even when you couldn't stay. Her voice broke. Thank you for showing me that loving someone means preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. She stood. Walked away. Behind her, the grave stood silent in the fading light. If you've ever been underestimated, betrayed, or told you weren't enough, drop a comment sharing one lesson you learned from standing back up. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today.